Okay, what I thought I'd start off for the people that don't understand who SLP is. SLP Safe Load Program. SLP is owned by three major oil companies. That's Ampol, Viva and BP. SLP is pretty much responsible for the compliance of our terminals and drivers throughout the country. And what that does is it sort of gives the standards of all the trucks, and all the componentry on the loading aspect pretty much within the fence of the terminals. And also the drivers, they pretty much have to have a driver's licence, if you like, to be able to operate the truck, to be able to, and also to be able to understand the process that goes with loading trucks and unloading trucks and what they need to do. SLP, the way we view SLP, it's in a rational and a pragmatic approach, to safety and consistency in standards and design to the equipment. So we're always looking at better ways that we can achieve better outcomes for the industry. To give you an idea, I've been in the industry 30 years now, I think it is. My background's oil company, and I had a stint with some contractors as well. My counterpart, Lee Stringer, unfortunately couldn't be here today. He's also oil company. He's been in the industry 35 years. His main role with SLP is to look at all the compliance around your standards, and I think a lot of you are aware that the Australian standards have changed. That's also been with industry. We also deal with the oil companies and industry like your tank builders and that to try and make things better for our industry. The data that we've gathered from, and I'll just flick to the next one. We'll try it again. Right, there we go. Okay, so the data that we gather from inspections and audits are key to our success. And over the last 6 years, what we've found is that most companies that deal with SLP, and anyone that goes into a terminal has to have an SLP, generally try to do the right thing. We find that very few companies don't want to do the right thing, and for those that don't, we hone in on them through way of the AILs, which I'll go into in a moment, and we try and understand what the issues are and work around those. That slide there, as you can see, 2016, 2020. So in 2016 to 20, we did 14,721 inspections. Now, we've got three guys that go around and do that throughout Australia. That's Paul Brown, Dave West and Brian Spackman. All these three guys also have oil company background in transport and logistics, and are very good with what they do to ascertain where we need to hone in on in the problems around the safety aspects. Dave West also owns a business where he sticks in he's got a weigh trailer, so we're weighing vehicles to make sure that what's going out the terminal is the correct weight, so the dimensions, all of the logistics around that are going to be right to go out onto the road. Disappointingly, in 2016-20, on average we did 3,500 to 4,000 inspections annually per year, which gave over that 4-year period 14,721 inspections. Unfortunately, last year with COVID, the whole year we only did 1,870 inspections. And you can appreciate the reason why. I know that the majority of my role is auditing, and I go around the country and do audits on the AIL authorised inspection locations which look after the vehicles, and I go around the country and I audit those people. So it's been very difficult with COVID not to be able to do that. I've certainly learned how to clean a house really well, I can tell you that, but it was very difficult. So this year so far, between January and to March this year, so far we've done 119 inspections. As you can see by that chart there, the majority of places we've been to is pretty much most of the places around the country between that period. But one of the highlights that we've found on that one is that Tasmania seems to be a bit of an issue, and in particular Bell Bay. Now, Bell Bay is operated by an oil company down there, which isn't one of the majors. And our inspectors that go down there bring back the information. In turn, I look at all that, and then that's when I go out and I audit these people. In those inspections we uncover, so during this period, there was 142 faults to do with EIPs. Now, the EIPs are like that sign up the back of the room there. It tells what's on the vehicle. 25 of the tankers in that period had fuel weeps and leaks. 27 vehicles were exposed to electrical wiring. So under the new standards as well, since April last year in the AS 2809, all the standards around electrical wiring, exhausts and all those things have changed. So people are still getting to understand what the changes are. So there's a bit of an issue in that until people understand. 7 vehicles, so a door brake park alarm. There were 7 vehicles that didn't do that. So in our industry, so the driver knows that when he pulls up and the truck brakes are on, if he opens the door to the truck, the horn will come on. So that alerts him that the brakes aren't on. So there were 7 vehicles that didn't have that apparatus on. 12 vehicles operating with fire extinguishers that were out of date. So we all know how important that is. And there were 16 vehicles operating with our vapour recovery hoses, which were out of date as well. Inspection locations, we talked about that. So the AILs, authorised inspection locations, what they are, they're like mechanics. And mechanics that go over the vehicles. We've got 114 around the country. And on average, they're completing about 14,500 inspections a year. To break this down, we've got 425 transport companies registered under SLP. Now, only transport companies that go into our major terminals only have to be an SLP. So you can imagine that out of the ones that go into our terminals, there's a whole lot of other variety out there that aren't in our scheme that we don't see. There's 10,000 registered vehicles under the SLP program. There's 6,500 drivers registered and trained under the load program. So basically, what we do, we look after all of that via a database called the VCM, which is the Vehicle Compliance Management System. All the information to do with drivers when they're registered to be able to have their licences, which is done every 2 years. All the information on vehicles that involves tank sizes, how much they can, everything to do with the vehicle is in the Vehicle Compliance Management Program. Some of the things that we're testing at the moment is, and as you can see on the left of the screen up there, it's called Authorised Inspection Location Audit. This is a tool that we're trialling along with the oil companies on the AILs and also our contractors that we use to do the work. So what this does is it takes about, could take it 5 to a day to do. At the end of this tool, it actually gives you a score, and that rates the company as where they are, and that tells us whether we need to go in and look at them further or they're okay for a period of time. On the top of the right-hand top of that sheet, that's the vehicle safety checklist. Now, the 3 guys I spoke about before, they actually go into the terminals, and each truck that comes in, they'll take that sheet. There's a list of items they go through to check for the compliance and safety of that. If they find defects, they actually talk with the driver. They give the driver a copy of that. He takes it back to his company to be rectified. In turn, that information is then loaded up into a spreadsheet within our system. That spreadsheet is looked by myself and Lee Stringer, and then that's the way that we hone in on the AIL that's actually doing the work, because it's all linked. So the AIL does the work on the vehicle goes into the terminal, the guys look at that information, and if there's issues wrong, and generally we find that issues are reoccurrent, so when I say that is, a particular AIL normally has the same amount of defects on various vehicles that come into that location. So that enables us to go in and hone on that particular AIL. With that, Some of the new things that we're testing as well is the renewal process application, which is also on Apple and Android for the drivers. So what the drivers used to do is, to do their 2-yearly compliance to be able to drive a petrol tanker, they used to have to sit for, if you like, an exam, which was normally done in a terminal. So due to COVID, that all stopped. So we had to come up with a new way. So now the drivers are able to go onto their mobile phone or whatever and are able to do that exam, and that gives them another 2 years to be able to drive that vehicle. And later this year, the vehicle information via the same sort of process is going to be made available on a vehicle. So for those people that understand the SLP process and you see a sticker, the sticker means that it's qualified for that 6-month period. You'll notice that there's a QR code being put onto that. So hopefully by the end of this year, anyone in a terminal will be able to go up to that vehicle, hit the QR code, all the information on that vehicle will be downloaded. So the terminals will understand exactly what that vehicle has on it, when it was done. They can look at hatch and vent, they can look at a whole range of stuff. And that's going to make it a whole lot easier instead of the current processes that we use. The other thing you'll see on that chart there is that in the yellow stickers there, they're what they call a return to service process. So every time a vehicle goes to an AIL or goes for repair, it's got to come back into the terminal with return to service to say what was wrong with what was done to that vehicle, and also that vehicle is now completed with the defects fixed. It's normally by a sheet of paper. The driver hands it to the terminal. And in some terminals, the terminals don't seem to care too much. Oh yeah, great, put it in the bin or whatever. This particular process actually goes on the arm of the outlets of the vehicle, so where the fuel comes out, that actually gets tied around that. Pretty much like with aviation. Aviation, if you're going to an airport, you load the truck, it's sealed up the top, so therefore can't be tampered with. Well, the same process will happen with this, whereby the terminal or wherever that vehicle's going will know exactly what's been done. So, in essence, SLP is about the reliability and the sustainability of making sure that every truck and driver that goes in and out of our terminals is going to be safe on the road. And I know what Ray said before during his talk from Queensland Police, that when things go wrong, things go terribly wrong in our industry. And I know at SLP and the oil companies that own us, we're all very passionate to make sure that what goes in and out of our terminals is going to go out safely, and hopefully everyone goes home safe at night. So thanks very much.